Éliane was 32 years old, a light brown-skinned black woman with a look often tinged with fatigue. She lived in Abidjan in a working-class neighborhood of Yopougon, and worked as a secretary in a small transportation company. Her salary was 200,000 CFA francs per month, enough to pay the rent, buy food, and send a little money to her village, but not enough to dream. Every morning, she woke up at 5:30 a.m., took an old ferry to Abobo to get to the office, answered calls she hated, typed letters she no longer even read, and ended her day at 5 p.m. Always the same routine, the same faces, the same pace. In the evening, once home, Éliane hardly ever went out. She had no time for friends, no energy for bars or maquis. Her small one-room studio in Yopougon was her refuge. The walls were old and cracked. The fan spun slowly and noisily, but it was better than nothing. She would set her bag down, change clothes, lie on her bed and pick up her phone. That's when her real life began, TikTok. She would spend hours scrolling through videos. Two types of content captivated her. First, animal videos, lions, giraffes, elephants. She could watch them for hours. But as soon as a snake appeared, she would scroll away in panic. She had an uncontrollable fear of snakes, so much so that she refused to return to the village to see her sick mother. Instead, she sent money to her sister, hoping her mother wouldn't hold it against her. The second type of video Éliane loved was about luxury. She was fascinated by it. Influencers in five-star hotels, women spending $1 million on a handbag, sipping champagne on private jets, having breakfast in front of the Eiffel Tower, spending weekends in Dubai. She watched them like one watches a movie. But there was one she followed with particular attention, Mia. Mia was her former high school classmate. They had grown up together, laughed together. But Mia had left the country long ago. Today Mia was a star, a famous influencer, always immaculate, always glowing. She lived between Dubai, New York, and Paris, and appeared in the music videos of Africa's biggest artists. Every day Éliane watched her stories with a small pang of envy, thinking, what if it were me? What if I had had another chance? But the reality was that she came home late from work, opened her window to let in a bit of air, and lay alone, glued to her screen. One evening, as she was walking home under the setting sun, she walked along a traffic-jammed avenue. Horns blared, dust danced in the air when a luxury car, a shiny black Bentley, slowed down beside her and honked softly. Intrigued, Éliane turned her head. The window rolled down slowly. Inside was a smiling, elegantly made-up woman waving at her. Éliane, is that you? Elaine's eyes widened. She froze. It was Mia in person in a Bentley next to her. Mia. Yes, it's me. I can't believe I'm running into you like this. Get in. Éliane stepped in as if in a dream. The seats smelled of new leather. Cool air from the AC flowed gently, and the soft voice of Burna Boy played quietly. I see you all the time on TikTok. You're living the life I dream of living, Éliane said. Mia was just passing through Abidjan for a few weeks. Come have fun with me. You're going to taste this life. That night, Éliane discovered another reality. They dined at a gourmet restaurant in the plateau, then went to a private party with Ivorian celebrities. Everything was luxury, lights, and elegance. Éliane filmed everything, posting each moment. In just a few hours her followers doubled. People recognized her, tagged her Éliane, the boss lady, Mia's new friend. She had stepped into another dimension, one she had only seen through a screen. And it was only the beginning. 2 weeks after their reunion, Éliane was unrecognizable. She wore luxury dresses, changed wigs every 2 days, did her makeup like a TV star, and slept in the most expensive hotels in Abidjan. Her phone was blowing up with notifications. Brands began approaching her. Influencers followed her. She didn't understand what was happening, but she loved it. Yet one question kept echoing in her mind, like a voice that refused to be silent. How did Mia get to this level? What's her secret? That evening they were dining in a 5-star restaurant in the plateau. The kind of place where each dish costs a laborer's monthly salary. The terrace overlooked the city. The sky was clear, the lights of the buildings twinkling in the distance. As always, Mia wore a designer dress, a Cartier ring on every finger, and slowly sipped a glass of red wine. Éliane took a deep breath, then looked her straight in the eyes. Mia, I have to know. Be honest with me. What do you do to have all this money? You don't have a business, you're not an actress. I want to do the same. Mia smiled without answering, staring at her glass. A long silence followed. Then she almost whispered, "It's not a business. It's a pact." Éliane frowned. A pact? Like those things where you have to sacrifice people? Never in my life. I want to be rich, yes, but I want to sleep in peace. Mia let out a small laugh. No, nothing like that. There's no human sacrifice, no blood, no pain. It's a personal, silent, but irreversible pact. Once you enter, you can never leave. And what exactly is this pact? Do you sell your soul or something? You receive something and you give something in return. But you'll see, if you want the same life I have, come to my place tomorrow at midnight, and don't ask any more questions. Éliane hesitated. Inside she was screaming to say no, but her curiosity, her hunger for luxury, her desire to rise was stronger. The next night at exactly midnight, Éliane stepped out of a taxi in front of Mia's villa in Cocody. The mansion was huge, guarded, and lit up like a palace. Mia was waiting at the door, dressed in a long black silk gown. Her face was serious, mysterious. "Are you ready?" Éliane nodded slowly. They walked through a hallway, past an immaculate living room, and arrived in front of a reinforced door. Mia took out a small golden key, inserted it, and opened the door. A secret room draped in red fabric appeared before them. A strange smell, somewhere between incense and burnt wood, hung in the air. In the center of the room stood a huge golden chest. Éliane felt her heart race. "This is my secret," Mia said solemnly. She slowly opened the chest. A cold gust swept through the room. A long black serpent, its scales shining like onyx and its eyes golden, slowly emerged, gliding with elegance. It didn't hiss, it didn't threaten. It simply slid toward the floor, then suddenly spat out neatly stacked bundles of cash before vanishing into a cloud of shadow. Éliane jumped back. "Oh my God, it's a snake. I can't stand those creatures. I can't do this. Isn't there another solution? Even a magic bird, an enchanted bag. Anything but a snake." Mia remained calm. "This serpent will be assigned to you personally. It will appear in your room every night at midnight and spit out exactly the amount you ask for. But it will never attack you. It will never move toward you. Comes, delivers the money, and leaves. But if you sign the pact, you can never go back. That's the only condition." Éliane stared. It was real. This wasn't a dream. Luxury, freedom, wealth, these were no longer fantasies. She slowly took the pin Mia handed her. A parchment sheet awaited her, covered in strange inscriptions. "And I have to choose how much I want?" "Yes. The serpent will deliver that amount every night." "What number do you choose?" Éliane smiled nervously. "Well, if I can ask for anything, even 30 million, I'll take it." And she signed. A shiver swept through the room. A warm gust rustled the drapes. The pact had been sealed. That night Éliane couldn't sleep. Lying on her bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, she waited anxiously for midnight. Her room was dimly lit. The fan spun slowly, doing nothing to calm her pounding heart. She hadn't forgotten the scene from earlier. The serpent, the chest, the strange smell, and that pact she had signed with enthusiasm, but also recklessness. 11:58 p.m. 11:59 p.m. Then midnight. A dull sound, a kind of rustle like fabric sliding across the floor. Éliane sat up suddenly, eyes wide. In a corner of her room, the black serpent with golden eyes had appeared. It glided slowly, majestically, without a sound, without threat, but its mere presence was enough to make Éliane scream. "Ah!" She grabbed her phone and keys, running to take refuge in the living room in panic. She didn't dare come back for another 10 minutes. When she finally did, tiptoeing, trembling, there was no serpent. In its place stood a mountain of neatly stacked bills. Fresh, perfectly arranged CFA notes of 10,000 and 5,000. Éliane stepped closer, touched them, smelled them. They were real. More than 30 million CFA francs lay on the floor like an offering. She let out a cry of joy, surprise, relief, and fear. She spun in circles, laughed, cried, and collapsed onto the bed. She had never seen so much money, not even in her wildest dreams. The next morning she woke up early, full of energy, and rushed to the market to buy a designer dress and get her hair done at the best salon in the neighborhood. Then she called a private driver and went to one of the most luxurious restaurants in Abidjan. She sat alone at a large table and ordered everything she had never dared to try before. Foie gras, lobster, champagne, truffle dessert. She ate slowly, savoring each bite like a revenge on life. Then she rented a penthouse in a high-end building for $10 million a night. Panoramic terrace, private pool, 24-hour service. She posted a video from the balcony. I've started a new business. I worked hard, I gave it my all, and here's the result. The video went viral. Views exploded, comments poured in. Boss lady, fire, fire, fire. Inspiration, red heart. You've motivated me to never give up. 2 weeks later, Éliane was in Dubai on a luxury yacht, eating sushi with Mia. The sky was pink, the sea perfectly calm. Mia wore Chanel sunglasses, and Éliane a Versace swimsuit. Éliane raised her glass. Thank you, Mia. Really. How can I ever repay you for this? Mia smiled softly, mysteriously. You're my sister. Enjoy it. Just never forget. You wanted this. A month later, while Éliane was enjoying a cocktail by her pool in Abidjan, her phone rang. It was her former boss. You haven't shown up for work in a month. You're fired. Éliane burst out laughing. No problem. Good luck to you, idiot. Who do you think you are? Thanks for your disrespect, but don't worry. Tomorrow you'll regret this decision. He laughed. You? Make me regret it? Dream on. The next morning at exactly 9 a.m., Mr. Diabate arrived at his office as usual, but when he inserted his key it no longer worked. Security blocked his entry. Sir, the company has been bought out. We have new instructions. What? Bought by who? A few minutes later, an official letter was handed to him. The name of the new owner, Éliane Cohn. A voice message followed on his phone. From now on you work here as a janitor. A team is waiting for you with your uniform. If you refuse, I'll shut this company down permanently. Shocked, he called Éliane back, but she didn't answer, and never did. In just a few months, Éliane became a star, a real one, not just on social media. All across Africa, her name was known, her face everywhere. In the music videos of Ivorian, Cameroonian, and Nigerian rappers, they sang her name in refrains like, Éliane, you change our lives, you make the girls dream. Her image was on the covers of the biggest magazines. From secretary to billionaire, a shocking journey. She invests in a cosmetics brand for black skin, in a booming logistics company, in 2 5-star hotels in Abidjan and Cotonou. She even creates her own luxury handbag line. Everything she touches becomes profitable. Her days are wild. On Monday, she has lunch in a restaurant in the middle of the sea in the Maldives, accessible only by private boat. On Tuesday, she swims with dolphins in crystal clear waters. On Wednesday, she's in New York in a golden Rolls-Royce with a personal chauffeur, just to buy a handbag she'll only wear once. On Thursday, she returns to Paris on a private jet, sleeps in a €30,000 a night suite, then has brunch with a former African president. On Friday, she's in Dubai on a yacht with Mia and other powerful women. On Saturday, she receives an international award for Female Inspiration of the Year. And on Sunday, she rests. When she enters a place, everything stops. People stand up, cameras turn, waiters freeze. Éliane no longer walks, she moves like a billionaire. 2 years go by and Éliane meets Mark, a young 34-year-old black entrepreneur, caring and generous. They fall in love, get married, and have 2 children, a girl and a boy. She lives what she thought was the perfect life. Luxury, love, peace. Everything seemed perfectly aligned. But one night, as she sat in the hushed silence of the private jet with Mia, a deep doubt began to gnaw at her mind. She stared into the void for a long moment before turning to Mia, her voice hesitant. Mia, tell me the truth. There's really no consequence to this pact? 10 years have gone by and nothing has happened to me. It's almost too good to be true. Mia remained silent, weighing her words. Then in a low, grave voice she replied, The pact is simple, Éliane. The spirits don't create the money. They only take it. Intrigued and worried, Éliane asked, Take it from where exactly? Mia looked at her intensely, as if about to reveal a terrible secret. In the future, in your own bloodline, they take the money from your children, their children, and so on until the last generation. The money you receive doesn't truly belong to you. It belongs to your family yet to come. A chilling cold ran through Éliane. She froze, unable to react. What do you mean? She murmured, her voice breaking. You are in 2025, but you are already spending the money that your great-great-grandson in 2725 should have received. You are living off 700 years worth of your descendants' resources. The weight of those words crushed her, heavier than all the gold in the world. Éliane didn't sleep that night. Lying in her huge bed in her silent mansion, she stared at the ceiling. Her mind spun endlessly. A few meters away, her two children slept peacefully. She looked at them through the slightly open door of their bedroom. They smiled in their innocent dreams. But she cried. So everything I've built, everything I've sacrificed, they will never benefit from it. She murmured, her throat tight. She sent a voice message to Mia. The reply came a few minutes later. Mia's voice grave and direct. Even if you invest in 100 companies, even if you buy 10 countries, it will all disappear when you die. That's the pact. You live your paradise, but you're preparing them for hell. Éliane broke down. She understood. It wasn't a blessing, it was a transfer of veil through time. She had received today what her descendants should have built themselves, step by step, year after year. And suddenly she remembered all those families she had seen in misery, their children doomed to repeat their parents' failures, those women fighting every day for scraps. She wondered, what if it wasn't bad luck? What if 200 years ago an ancestor had signed a pact like mine? What if that poverty wasn't divine punishment, but just the result of a forgotten choice? Silent tears fell. Éliane wasn't crying for herself. She had had it all. She was crying for them, her children and their children. Innocents who would have to pay a debt they never signed. She finally understood. Poverty is not always the result of laziness. Sometimes it's simply the shadow of an ancient curse, a forgotten pact that still demands its price. And in that heavy silence a truth resonated in her heart. We must pray, we must break the chains, even the ones we didn't place ourselves. Because one day someone must say stop. Someone must say, this curse ends with me because I am a child of God. And so Éliane's story comes to an end. A woman who had everything, money, glory, love, but who realized too late that nothing is free. She thought she was escaping poverty, but she had just signed the suffering of her children, and their children, for centuries to come. And you, watching this video, maybe you feel a weight in your life that you can't explain, closed doors, strange misfortune. What if the problem isn't you? What if you're simply the heir to an ancient pact you never signed? Then break it now, by your faith, by your words, by your prayer. And write in the comments with authority. What my ancestors did has nothing to do with me. I am a new lineage. The curse ends with me. I am free. If this story touched you, like this video, subscribe, and most importantly, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes it's not money that saves us. It's the truth.